Yo, it's Zero, and today I'm bringing you guys a brand new movie. What if Naruto was a psychic? Or an Esper from Mob Psycho? If you guys enjoyed today's video, hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel as it helps me get closer and closer to my goal of 10K. And it pushes my channel and my content to a bunch more people. With that being said, I figure you guys are ready for me to start the video. So, without any more wait, let's get started.
Let's get it. I'm a trapping fanatic, that shit automatic, so I cannot turn it on or off. Bitches all on my dick, then she hop on my dick. I'm like, why you keep hopping on and off? Yo, bitch all on my dick, she be doing the most. I tell her, little bitch, she so extra. And my gun up on me, but not run up on me. Niggas, they wanna fight, they some wrestlers. And you know 30K got the mop. Sacked up, yeah, I got them knots. Act up, get your body in a box. Told the demon, you know how.
We start with a young Naruto walking around alone. He was more shy and to himself in this timeline. It's not that he didn't want to talk to others, it's just he never knew how to do it. It didn't help that a bunch of people in the village also made fun of him and always called him a monster. Naruto didn't understand any of it. Did he do something wrong? Maybe it was his parents, not him. But he didn't want to blame those who were not there to defend themselves. Overall, Naruto was just an introvert. He didn't do his usual pranks that we were used to that got people's attention. Actually, Naruto tried his best to stay hidden. One day, as Naruto was walking throughout the village at night, getting something, this would be after he was getting something to eat, a bunch of older kids came up to him. They asked Naruto for some money, but he said he just spent the last of it on some food, so he had nothing. The kids then started to beat up on Naruto until the ramen shop owner heard this running out and tried to help Naruto. Naruto saw this from the corner of his eye and wanted to help the old man, and deep inside Naruto's mind, he called himself weak, useless. His life was pointless. That's what he told himself. I can't do anything right, he would say. And Naruto watches as two of the kids hold the old man down and the other prepares to hit him. Naruto's emotions erupted as a blue and purple aura began leaking off of his body. He held up both his hands as they began to shake and ordered them to stop. They all froze, and then they let the man go, even though they didn't want to. Naruto walks towards them and would ask why they would do that. That man had nothing to do with them, yet they wanted to hurt him. How could they call themselves shinobi? Ninja are supposed to protect those in their village, not hurt them. They would call Naruto a loser, and Naruto would just let them go. Naruto himself didn't want to hurt anyone, so he just walked away. However, these kids weren't done, as they rushed back at Naruto while his back was turned, and then Naruto heard punching noises from behind him, causing him to turn around to see a man with black hair and a cane. This man would also turn to Naruto, as he had a scar on his chin, and the man would use his cane to point at the three kids who were on the ground. You see what happens when you let them off easy, Naruto? They'll continue to do it over and over again until you stop them. You have an amazing power. Let me hone it for you and make you stronger so that you can use it to protect yourself and others who you care about. Naruto looked up at the man who had now a warm smile. No one was really nice to Naruto, nor had done anything like this. Besides the ramen shop owner who just tried to help him out, even Iruka in this timeline wasn't that nice to Naruto. So, he would grab the man's hand and walked off with him. Danzo trained Naruto to make him very strong. He wanted him to be an all-around ninja, especially with his psychic abilities that were only unique to him. This was something that only Naruto could do, so he would have a huge advantage over many others as long as he stayed sharp in battle. I'll actually go over some of the abilities that Naruto can do as of now. He can force his cells to heal themselves by speeding up the time on them, but he can also do the opposite to his opponent, slowing down their regeneration. Naruto has telekinesis, the usual picking up things with his mind. He also has pyrokinesis, which is basically lighting things on fire. And let's also just give him electrokinesis. Naruto's training would go on from time to time until he graduated the academy, which he did easily, as Danzo not only taught him how to control his psychic powers, but he definitely would teach him the shinobi ways. And now, Naruto would just have to work harder to overcome the effects of Kurama messing with his chakra points. and for now, I'll keep their encounters the same. At night, when Mizuki stole the scroll from the Hokage's office, Danzo would call on Naruto to go get it back. Naruto moved fast through the village and found Mizuki after tracking down his footprints. Mizuki would actually tell Naruto that he's the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki, but Naruto lifts the scroll from his back and puts it on his own as he kicks Mizuki to the ground. You're very dense, as I already know that, and I've learned not to care about it as it doesn't matter. With no expression, Naruto snapped his fingers and lit the shinobi on fire, burning him to nothing but a pile of ashes. Naruto would run back to the leaf and return the scroll to Danzo, who, well, the black-haired man praised Naruto and told him to get some rest for the next day, as this will be when he is officially a ninja. Naruto, in the morning as usual, reported to Danzo and then went to school. Iruka, the homeroom teacher, would announce the teams, and now everyone waits on their sensei to come. After hours, Kakashi would arrive there, and here we would have Naruto, Sasuke. Actually, no. Let's change it for this story. I've been doing too much of the original, so let's have this instead. Naruto, Kiba, and Sakura. Kakashi arrived to see his team all separated within the classroom, as none of them seemed like they liked each other, which wouldn't be good for the exercise that he has planned for the next morning. Then he would tell them to meet him at the rooftops, and all of them would go. He would then ask them what their goals were, as Naruto would say, "I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like honest people who protect the weak. I dislike those who harm others for no reason. And I have a goal, but it's none of your business." Sakura would yell out to Naruto how he can't talk to their sensei like that, but Naruto points his sword at her throat. "Oh yeah, and who's gonna stop me, Sakura? 'Cause it certainly won't be you or that mutt over there." Kiba would try to stand, but his body was forced to the ground by Naruto's psychic abilities. Kakashi would then put his hands on Naruto's shoulders, asking Kiba the same questions. As Naruto would calm down as he puts his sword back on his back and sits down, Kakashi then tells them to meet up with him the next morning. And the next day we all see them together as they were getting ready to take the bell test. When the test would start, none of them would hide, as Kiba would be the first to rush in and he's tied up by Kakashi. Naruto would scoff, asking Sakura if she could keep up with his pace, as she would nod in a cocky manner, saying it'll be easy, causing Naruto to not believe her at all, as Naruto lifted up his headband. Well, no, first he lifted up his headband so that he could see, because he didn't tie it all the way tight because he was rushing this morning. Then he lifted up his hand, causing multiple rocks to fly out at Kakashi, using his telekinesis, and he threw them at his sensei from all different directions. Kakashi would jump into the air so that the rocks would collide into one another. But using the rocks he had just thrown, Naruto creates steps that he uses, and he jumps all the way up to where his sensei was, and he slices through the Jonin ninja with his blade. Naruto lands on the ground gracefully, as he then sees a log that he had just cut in half. So, he's not all talk after all. Well, I have to keep attacking him then. Kakashi would appear again, but this time, Naruto turned, blocking his fist with his arm, and then he swung his leg, as Kakashi caught his foot and prepared to slam him to the ground, but Naruto smashed a rock into Kakashi's chest, causing him to let go of his leg. After that, while flipping back, Naruto slashed across his sensei's chest. Naruto then landed on the ground, as his other two teammates were surprised that Naruto could keep up with the Jonin sensei. Was he truly a genin? What kind of training was he doing to be this strong? Kakashi then looked at the blood that was now on his chest as he looked at the blade that Naruto held, getting a closer look at it. It was an Anbu, or root blade. So, that's why he's so strong. Alright then, Naruto. Forgive me for not taking you serious until now. Kakashi would lift up his headband, revealing a Sharingan to his team, as Naruto was surprised, but thanks to Danzo, he was very knowledgeable on many Kekkei Genkai and what they could do, and Danzo gave him the perfect strategy for beating someone who possessed this ability. By using his own Kekkei Genkai, he could defeat them. Naruto ran back, and this time, Kakashi pulled out two kunai to counter the sword. Naruto would flip into the air, swinging the blade sideways, and using the Sharingan, Kakashi could see this coming and got ready to block. However, Naruto used his ability to read Kakashi's mind. Wait, I don't know if that was one of the abilities that I said Naruto can do, but let's just say that he can do that as well. So, after reading his mind, Naruto let go of his sword and used his telekinesis to change where his blade would strike last minute, and this would cut Kakashi's arm. Not cutting it off, but it definitely would leave a scar. And the two back away from each other, and Kakashi wondered how Naruto was able to overcome the Sharingan so easily. But the sensei wasn't done, as he would use lightning jutsu and then dash towards a student. Naruto smiled, stopping the jutsu with his mind and sending it back at Kakashi, who would put up a mud wall to block the attack. Naruto lifted his hands, making the ground hold his sensei by his ankles, as he would then take the bells and he put a sword to his back. Naruto looked at Kakashi in his eyes, as he would say that the test is now over. Kakashi was surprised, as now he was being pulled to the ground, and this is when Naruto would use his abilities to heal him. Kakashi would of course thank Naruto, but he would also ask how he can do all of this, as Naruto just says it's his Kekkei Genkai, and that he shouldn't ask any more questions. So, then Naruto would walk away, throwing his hands up in the air, telling him that he'll see them tomorrow. So, he's not that bad after all. Now, Team 7 would do their low-rank missions until Danzo had Hiruzen give them a harder one. The Hokage would of course know about Naruto's training, and since he really wasn't an active Kage, he let Danzo do as he pleased. And now is where we would start the Land of Waves arc. Team 7 would be called into the Hokage's office, where they would be assigned the Bridge Builder mission. Tazuna walks in at the team, he walks in looking at the team, and he points out how only one of them looks like they could hold their own. Kiba folds his arm with a smile, thinking that he was talking about him, but Tazuna would yell out to him how he's talking about the one with the all-black jacket and blonde hair. Naruto would look towards Tazuna as he looked uninterested, and he raised his mind to learn what's really going on in this mission, as this would be what interests Naruto to smirk, as he would then leave the room, and he still wouldn't say anything because he wanted to go on this mission to prove himself to Danzo. Naruto's goal, as of now that he didn't tell Kakashi, was to become the leader of his own Anbu or Root squad. The team would head out, and now they leave the Leaf. The whole time, Kiba would continue talking with his dog and Sakura. Naruto, though, was silent, and he chose to think of a plan instead. This was until he detected a life force behind his team. Naruto would turn around just in time to see Kakashi being ripped to shreds. Naruto sighed, pulling out his blade, walking towards his opponents. Kiba and Sakura would yell out for him to stop, it's too dangerous, but Naruto laughed. If anything, I'm surprised they aren't running yet. Using his pyrokinesis, Naruto lit his blade on fire and slashed at one of the mist Chunin, but they were able to block the attack and push Naruto back. Great, I'll hold back a little so I can have some fun then. Naruto got rid of the flames and fought the two of them at the same time, dodging the chains and kunai that were being thrown at him. Naruto would pull a rock out of the ground, causing one of them to slip, as he would slash upward, cutting his eye. As Naruto stood over one of the mist Chunin, the other got behind Naruto and was about to cut off his head. Suddenly, time began to slow down for everyone, except for one person. Using his physical enhancement to increase his speed to about a tenfold, sidestepping to the side of the other ninja, Naruto kicked him in the chest and released the ability. The shinobi that was kicked in the chest would be sent flying, as Naruto would walk back to the other that was on the ground, and then, with a snap of his fingers, lit him on fire as he was burned to ash. The boy would then use both of his hands to open the ground and bury the other ninja alive, breaking his arms so that he couldn't dig his way out. This is when Kakashi reappeared, walking from the bushes to tell Naruto he did a good job, but he should have included his other teammates. But Naruto says they'd just slow him down, and after watching all of this, Tazuna was convinced that Naruto shouldn't even be on the same rank as the other two, as he clearly outclassed them. But Team 7 continued until they were attacked by another ninja. While the sword came flying at them, Naruto stopped it with his mind and looked around as he would spot Zabuza within a tree. So, this kid has some weird tricks. I'll try to remember that. Zabuza would rush at the group, but Kakashi steps up to fight him alone. However, Naruto wasn't going to let that happen. As their fight would start, Zabuza swings his blade once again, but Naruto throws it to the side with his mind, as this would confuse the ninja, as he would then be hit by a kick from Kakashi. He tilted his head to see Naruto, who was now throwing rocks at him, using his telekinesis, as Zabuza would begin to get annoyed. How is this kid doing that? I need to kill him now. Zabuza would then get up from the place he was at and place Kakashi within a water prison jutsu while making a clone that would go to attack the real Naruto. Naruto would then tell his other two teammates to go free their sensei while he fights the clone. The Mist Ninja's clone. Well, the Mist Ninja would notice the Genin rushing past the clone and running at him, as he would try to do everything to stop him. But he noticed that Naruto had already gotten rid of the clone, as he then felt a pain in his shoulder. As he turns, he now sees, wait, his own blade was in all the way through his shoulder. He looks back at Naruto, who then was beside him, kicking his leg, forcing him to kneel, and using his pyrokinesis, he lights his own hand on fire and grabs the head of Zabuza, forcing him to release Kakashi. However, before he was able to burn off his face and kill him, Naruto had to turn and stop ice that was coming at him. This slight distraction allowed Zabuza to get away from the kid. His face was hot and did have some burn marks on it from the attack, but he was alive, and he wasn't about to die to this kid. No way. He had to beat him here and now. Naruto would be glaring at the masked man, who then rushed at him. Once again, ice was used to attack him, and Naruto easily dodged, gaining the upper hand and gaining an idea, or rather the thought, that he can use ice as well. So he'd keep that in mind for later. Naruto would then use his speed to land a flurry of slashes against the masked man, kicking him away while ripping off his mask with his powers. Naruto would then get a good look at his face and smile. I'll remember that, just in case you try to sneak up on me later. Naruto began running back to the masked man until he saw a kick from Zabuza. Naruto then spun, clashing legs with Zabuza and flipping away, dodging more ice that was also coming. Naruto landed on the ice as he looked down to where his opponent should be, as they were now gone. Naruto then sat on top of the large ice spikes, as he would then rest his head or his chin upon his hand. What a shame. I wanted to see more of that ability so that I could learn and copy it. Naruto jumps down and tells Kakashi that this is his fault for not taking them. Well, he took the fight too lightly, so this is his fault. He then tells his sensei that he needs to be more serious if he actually wants to live. Kakashi would actually apologize, as he does know it's his fault that they got away, as Naruto would smile. Good, now don't let it happen again. Naruto walked over to Kakashi and healed his minor injuries, as they would then go to Tazuna's home. When they made it, Kakashi would still rest, just not for a whole day, and then they went out to the forest to train, but Naruto would go on his own to train, as he was already far ahead of his teammates, so he spent this time figuring out how to summon ice with his psychic powers. And now we can skip to days later, when the team would return to the bridge to help finish it or complete the building. Tazuna on the way told them that some of the workers should already be there a little bit earlier than they are. And when they arrived, they did see these workers, as they were all on the ground, but they were dead. Team 7 looks forward to now see Zabuza and Haku, ready to fight them again. This time Kakashi lifted up his headband and got prepared earlier, as Naruto would then duck under a kick from Haku, and then Kira performs a fang over fang, pushing the ninja back. Haku would fly into steel pipes, but he did take a good amount of damage. Haku got up and only saw the kid with the dog. Where was the blonde kid? He needed to know where he was. You know, for a shinobi, you lack some basic skills. Too bad you won't get to learn any of them. Naruto was holding his hand on Haku's back as he then summons ice that blows through his chest, killing him. Naruto shakes his hand, as it was then pretty cold from that, but he was able to do it smiling, as he then looks over at his sensei and sees Kakashi with an arm now through Zabuza's chest, as the team would then help them finish the bridge until Gato's men would show up, and with the snap of his fingers, Naruto lit them on fire. And after the bridge was done, it was named the Great Naruto Bridge out of fear and respect for him, as Team 7 then prepared to head back to the Leaf Village. Once they returned, Naruto went off to report the mission to Danzo, who was impressed that he figured out how to use ice. But when when he asked to lead his own Anbu squad, it was declined. He told Naruto that only Jonin had that privilege because of their experience, so if he wanted this type of team to lead his own, he must rise through the ranks of the shinobi. Naruto nodded and asked how he would get to the next rank, and this is when Danzo explained the Chunin exams to Naruto. The next day, Naruto would meet up with his team as usual, and they signed up for the exams, which excited him. For now, we'll skip past the written test and start at the Forest of Death, as all the teams will stand in front of the gate listening to a woman with purple hair. The teams then begin to head into the Forest of Death, and we see Team 7 following Naruto, as Kiba would ask him where they are going, and Naruto says that they are tracking a team that's not too far ahead of them. As Naruto was jumping to another tree branch, he got hit in the side by a giant snake that slammed him into a tree. Naruto coughed up blood and smirked. "Where the hell did you come from?" Kiba and Sakura ran to him, asking if he was okay, but Naruto looked at Kiba and his dog. "When I give this signal, I want you two to use your strongest attack. You want to help me so damn bad, well here's your chance." Naruto wiped the blood off of his cheek and then rushed at the snake and dodged another attack, as this time he placed his hand on its head and completely froze the entire snake. Naruto then glared at Kiba, who moved without thinking, performing another fang over fang on the frozen snake as he would destroy it. Sakura would ask where the snake came from, but then they all heard the screams of someone who wasn't that far. Naruto would then tell his team that they are heading that way now, and when they arrived, they saw Team Kurenai, which was being attacked, as Hinata was being held down. Kiba rushed in and kicked the female shinobi away from Hinata, asking if she was okay, and Sakura went to assist Shino. Naruto would sit in a tree, wondering where the third teammate was, until a dark aura erupted out of nowhere, as Naruto turned his head to see Sasuke, waking up and demolishing all the sound ninja. Then he tried attacking his own team, but his fist was caught by Naruto. "You've always been a brat, you know that?" Naruto then punched Sasuke in his face, sending him back. The Uchiha recovered and would go to kick Naruto, but he blocked. And luckily for Sasuke, he thought this was a chance for him to use Weave Sans, pushing off of Naruto's arms and back into the air, sending a fireball jutsu down at Naruto, and the blonde looked at it as he wasn't impressed and dispersed the attack with only a hand, as Sasuke wondered how he just did that, but then Naruto appeared to his side. "Simply because I am better than you, and the gift that I was given is way better than the one that your clan has given you." Sasuke's eyes widened. Did Naruto just read his mind? And where did he come from? I have to react now. That's what he would think, activating his Sharingan in a mere instant. And he threw a punch, expecting Naruto to dodge it, but Naruto let it hit him as he grabbed Sasuke's arm and tossed him over his shoulder back towards the ground, where he would crash, as Sasuke's curse mark would then start to fade, and Naruto walks over to Hinata. She starts to blush as Naruto would ask her where their scroll was. Her face would turn into a tomato-like color red as Naruto gets even closer as he keeps asking. Naruto would wonder what's wrong, but then, after reading her mind, he realizes that she has feelings for him. The boy smiles, a genuine smile, rubbing her hair and then telling her that he'll see her around, as Naruto would then motion for his team to leave this one alone, as they would go get their own scroll. Kiba would yell at Naruto because he likes Hinata, and Naruto just flirted with her. Naruto would reply with, "I don't think I asked whether you had feelings for her or not, and if you do, they are irrelevant, seeing as you don't have any sort of charm to yourself." What the heck is that supposed to mean? It means you need to take a bath, you mutt. Kiba would get angry while Sakura would start to laugh until they ran into another random team, and following this they made their way to the tower and had a lot of time to wait until all the other teams would arrive as well. When they did arrive, the preliminary matches were announced, and since Naruto and Kiba are on the same team, I don't think they would fight here. So let's say it's a fight between Naruto and Shino. Hinata would be confused on who to root for, but since Shino is her teammate, she would obviously cheer silently for him. The fight starts and bugs would swarm Naruto, but without even lifting a finger. All the bugs around him would either be crushed or lit on fire. Shino was able to sense this, and he thought it was odd how Naruto was able to do this, as he did see him use some psychic abilities before, but he didn't know how he did so. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Danzo did have Naruto hide his abilities until he became a ninja, so all of this was new to his team and many others who saw him. Shino wouldn't know what to do, so Naruto rushed at him, and because he wasn't that good at taijutsu, he was easily overwhelmed by Naruto's rapid blows and his strength, and as Shino would try to throw a punch, Naruto grabbed his fist and held it tight. Shino then looked at Naruto as he would hear him say, "Sorry, I have to show off as they're all watching me now." All around the stadium, there were not just guards that were hidden, but many Anbu members as well, and Naruto could sense, and he saw a couple of them. Holding on to Shino's wrist and hand, Naruto began to slam his fist into his chest and stomach over and over again, making Shino cough out blood until he gave up, feeling as if his insides were about to burst out of his mouth and he was about to die. Once Naruto lets go of him, he used his powers to heal Shino, but he did so secretly and told Shino to still act hurt or he'd kill him. So, who would go against Kiba? Well, it would be one of Kabuto's teammates, and I actually think he would win here, as all the other fights would then go the same, and the shinobi who remain are told to train. Naruto would go away from his team and tells them that he'll see them later. As he walks to go see Danzo, he turned a corner, bumping into Hinata. "Oh, hey Hinata, you did great in your fight. Keep up your training though, and you'll be able to beat Neji next time." She nodded as her face would turn red, and she ran off. Naruto would then make it to Danzo's office and walks in. The man would tell Naruto that he's doing great, but for his training he's going to be placed on a new team, one of his most successful teams. This way he can get a good feel of what a true leader can do. Leadership isn't just about strength, as anyone can be strong, but people have to believe in your strength and trust you and the plans that you make, and Naruto needs to learn that before he becomes an Anbu captain. Naruto understood these words and would come back the next morning in his gear, joining up with Team Yamato. 3 weeks would go by, and Danzo gives Naruto a day off before the exams so that he could continue to perform at his best during the Chunin exams. He tells the boy to show off and have a little fun as well with his fights because he already knows that Naruto is going to win it all. When the Chunin exams proceeded, the first fight would be Kiba versus Neji. Both fighters jump to the center of the arena, and Naruto sits back closing his eyes. There was no way that Kiba could beat a prodigy like Neji, but his sensei said that he may be able to because of their training, and since Kiba didn't focus on his affinities, Kakashi decided to teach him how to make his own jutsu stronger by using clones. Nothing like the shadow clones, which that would kill him, just his regular clones. And he would use this jutsu would use up a lot of his chakra. Now, Kiba was able to make, 2 clones instead of 1. Naruto opened his eyes, and now he saw 4 Kibas that stood around Neji, as one being the real, 2 being clones, and another being Akamaru. So, he's going to perform that jutsu like that now. Very simple but effective. Kakashi, I applaud you for lowering your intellectual status by taking your time to teach someone like him, even if it doesn't work. But I may say, he does tend to surprise me every once in a while. Neji would twist and turn, figuring out which one was the real him, and then he starts running that way. However, a fang over fang is performed, and it's coming from every angle. Neji stops and then performs a 360 palm rotation, sending Kiba and Akamaru back while making the clones disperse. Naruto turned his back to the fight as he would say, Every shinobi that graduated the academy can be more powerful than they know, but they're blocked by their lack of openness. Not everything in this world is set in stone. Sakura wondered why Naruto was talking like this, so she asked, and Naruto would say, if they don't train their skills, they'll end up being like the older generations, stuck in a cycle of war. Naruto then sat back, walking over to the railing as he looked down at a beaten-up Kiba. Kiba was about to give up until he heard a voice, the voice of Naruto shouting at him to give it his all until the very end, as someone like him who's on his team isn't allowed to give up. Kiba, who was on the ground, would get a burst of energy standing up as he would throw down a smoke bomb, and then Neji gets in his stance. Seconds later, another Fang over Fang would come at him, but it was only Kiba. Neji then performed a 360 palm rotation. However, Kiba flew back into the air, vanishing in smoke, meaning that this one was a clone. As Neji would look down, he could smell something. It was Kiba, as he could then see him, and using as much strength as he could, Kiba then kicked Neji's chin, sending him into the air. As the Hyuga would then stand. He would be hit on the ground and then he would stand, being out of breath, looking at his opponent, as Neji slowly began walking back towards Kiba, who, as he kept walking, his leg was bit by Akamaru. This damn dog is annoying. Neji pulls off the dog, and then he kicks it to the side, tilting his head to his opponent, and he saw a fist that landed in the middle of his face. Now, Neji laid on his back as he wasn't able to get up, and Kiba smiled, running over to Akamaru and picking him up, saying that he did a good job, as now he will be declared the winner since Neji couldn't move. Naruto smiled. Took that loser long enough. The next fight would then be Sasuke versus Gaara, and without the Chidori, Sasuke wouldn't be able to win this fight, or make Gaara rage out. So after this would be Shikamaru versus Naruto. The two fighters walk down or jump down into the center, and the fight starts as Naruto creates space between the two of them. After watching Shikamaru's fight from before, he knows what's up. Now, the fight was truly in his favor, as Naruto held up his hand and threw large rocks at Shikamaru that forced him to dodge, as Shikamaru would try to move towards Naruto, but his feet were frozen to the ground. Looking back at Naruto, he saw him slowly moving towards him, and now he was holding his sword. Shikamaru would try to weave hand signs for the Shadow Possession Jutsu, but his hands were forced down by Naruto. As Naruto got closer and closer, he was about to swing his blade until he stopped, hearing a loud scream from the stands as both of the fighters would turn to see Gaara with the blade through his chest starting to scream, as Kabuto from on top of the stadium arenas would smile, doing a jutsu, or a genjutsu, that caused feathers to fall from the sky and many in the stands to fall asleep. Naruto then raised his hands towards his team, putting a protective barrier around them that protected them from the genjutsu, and he let go of Shikamaru's legs, telling him to now get ready. The Konoha Crush began, and Naruto jumped towards Gaara, who was attacking the people in the stands. As Sand was about to kill a woman and her child, Naruto stepped in front of it, stopping it with his hand. Not only did this idiot try to kill people who were innocent, but he also stopped me from becoming a captain. Naruto pushed forward, forcing the Sand back at Gaara and pushing him towards the center of the stadium. As he would then fall on his back, Naruto looked down at Gaara and then saw a signal from another Anbu member. As he would jump down to fight, he would say, "Great, now I can't kill him either. This is becoming a pain." Naruto would walk closer to Gaara and put a box around the two of them. Gaara would look around confused and try to throw sand out of the box at the people around him, but it didn't work, as the sand would then stop on the box and fall down. "You can't leave this place unless you kill me or I put the barrier down." Naruto would then kick the sand Jinchuriki to the ground as he would step on his hand. "You piss me off, you know that? But since I can't kill you, I can still make you suffer." The ground below Gaara then becomes hot and begins to hold him down, as there was a fire that he was being leaned on, burning his clothes and his skin. One of his hands would then be stabbed by Naruto as he would hear, "That's one. Let's see how many you can handle until you crack." Naruto would stab Gaara over and over again, healing the places where he stabbed so that Gaara wouldn't have a lot of bloodlust and die. And Naruto would continue to do this over and over again, while using ice and fire to help torture him. But then, the Sand Jinchuriki began transforming, causing Naruto to knock him out and release the barrier as he would jump to the top of the arena, looking over the Leaf Village. He jumps down to the fighting and is now surrounded by 8 ninjas. They all attack him at once, but Naruto blows them away with his immense pressure, and then he enters their minds, controlling them and forcing them to kill themselves. As Naruto continued on, he went to protect Danzo's office. As he would then sit on the rooftop of the building, he saw the 3rd Hokage fighting Orochimaru. Naruto then grabbed his blade as he jumped from building to building to get closer. As Orochimaru was about to summon the 1st and 2nd Hokage, both his hands were then cut off by someone who now stood behind him, Naruto. Orochimaru turned, seeing the blonde, but was forced to dodge another attack while regenerating. Hiruzen and Naruto worked together, forcing the Sannin to retreat, and by this time, the fighting would have stopped, as the Leaf had won. Many lives were lost, and being in the situation that they were, and being in a situation so close to death, Hiruzen wanted to get a new Kage appointed. He then hears about Jiraiya being back in the Land of Fire, and would send out for him, and he wants Jiraiya to come to his office as he would personally ask him to be the next Hokage. But the white-haired man would refuse, reminding his old teacher that he still had one more student, as Hiruzen would also agree that he should go get Tsunade, but if she doesn't want to become the Hokage, the position will fall on Jiraiya. The white-haired man would go to find the son of the 4th Hokage, but he wouldn't be able to, due to Naruto starting his own Anbu squad. Well, he was now a co-captain of Yamato's squad, rising through the ranks. And Naruto was given a new mask that represented an orange fox. For now, he'll continue to do his missions, and some of the missions he does requires him to go solo until Danzo finds trustworthy people to put on Naruto's team, his future team, as he knows Naruto will become a Jonin most likely within a year with his guidance. As Naruto was his best experiment, and Naruto was his most beneficial product of his training due to his psychic abilities. Eventually, I do believe, with a lot of convincing, Jiraiya could get Tsunade to come back to the village and become the 5th Hokage. But after that is when Sasuke Uchiha would lead the Leaf, and he does so without warning. What I mean by this is Sakura, who would have known when he left originally, wouldn't know until days later when she went to check on him in the hospital, and by this time he was already gone with Orochimaru and the Sound 4. Now, we'd enter the time skip starting Shippuden. Over the 3 years, Danzo had Naruto perfect all of his abilities and even learn new ones. Another thing he taught Naruto was how to control the tail beast within him with his psychic powers, meaning he had access to about 5 tails at will for now. And when we see Naruto, he was taller, and he has on his Anbu outfit as he was training 2 more people that were on his team. He dashed forward at them, grabbing not 1, but now 2 blades, swinging them both so hard that it pushed both of his teammates back at the same time. Naruto pursued one on the left, jumping into the air and shooting down ice spears that almost would land if not for a mud wall made by the other teammate. However, when both of them tried to attack Naruto at once, they fell to the ground as he began to glow. Naruto would end the training and help the 2 to their feet. Great job. A little faster when it comes to defending, and you 2 work well together. I'm glad you're on my team. I'll see you 2 tomorrow morning for the same training. The 2 would wave before taking their mask off and sitting down. One of them was a boy with brown hair, who I'll be calling Uzui, and a girl with white hair, who I'll call Makio. They talked for a little bit about their captain until Danzo walked into the room hearing their conversation. Danzo then told them both, that Naruto is his best captain and that he's never failed a mission so far, so the 2 of them have high expectations. But he put them on under Naruto's care for a reason. A couple more days go by of training until Naruto was called into the Hokage's office, as by now he was a Jonin ninja within the Leaf Village and he was well known around to be one of the strongest. He could be the strongest, even though he was the youngest. When he walked into her office, Naruto saw his old team, as well as Team Guy and Temari. One of the Sand siblings was there. Tsunade explained the mission to retrieve Gaara and told the teams to head out now. They begin to travel, and they get into the sand within days, after running with no rest. Once they were in the village, the same thing would happen with Granny Chio attacking Kakashi, but this time when she attacked him, he was frozen in ice by Naruto. Naruto would let her go after this, and this is when she would calm down. Naruto and Sakura would walk around the room healing those who were injured, and then they head out once again. When the team reached an area with 2 paths, they would split up, as each of them would run into a clone of either Itachi or Kisame. Naruto would then run at the clone of Itachi, and then a crow would fly in his mouth. After that, Naruto uses his psychic abilities to hold him still while forcing the surrounding area to pull him underground. The team continued until they reached a rock that Sakura got ready to break, but Naruto said that she might destroy the whole cave and kill Gaara, so he'll do it himself. He walked towards the rock, placing his hand on it, as it would then begin to glow. As Naruto's eyes turned completely white, and a huge hole was formed in the rock so that they could walk through. And as they walk through, they see a dead Gaara and 2 Akatsuki members. Naruto would look towards Kakashi, as he is the leader of the team, and ask what they should do. Kakashi then says that they should leave one alive and extract information. Easy enough. Naruto would lift up his hand, and Sasori's puppet would then be crushed into a small ball, and Deidara is forced to the ground, having his mind read as well. Next, Naruto pulls the body of Gaara to the group, and he tells Sakura to do something about it. So, anything else? If not, we should get started. As Naruto takes another step forward, a hand comes in front of his chest. No, not 1, but 2, as it was Kiba and Sakura. It's our turn, Naruto. You've had enough fun. The 2 of them then get ready to continue the fight with the Akatsuki members, while Naruto and Granny Chio work on reviving Gaara. The woman would sacrifice her own life to revive Gaara, and after he woke up, Naruto told him to be thankful for that old woman, as she didn't have to do that. Naruto then continued to watch the fight that was going on, and anytime it seemed like the 2 Akatsuki members had the advantage, Naruto would stop their attacks with his abilities. Eventually, only Deidara would escape, forcing Kakashi to use Kamui to save those within the area, and now all of them would start to head back to the sand. And on the way back, after they got to the sand, they started to head back to the Leaf, and on the way back to the Leaf Village, Naruto tells his old team that they should train harder. He shouldn't have to help them that much. Kakashi tells Naruto that he's being too hard on them, but Naruto says, what if Kakashi had to use Kamui again and he didn't have enough chakra, or he had used it at the wrong point in time, and what if that explosion was a bluff? He should have been known the full potential of the Sharingan, as he's had it for so long. What would have happened if another explosion did come, though? Naruto sped up his pace, running ahead of his team, leaving them to think, as he would lead them now. And when they return, Naruto gives a full report to the Hokage about Sasuke, how they plan to meet up with Orochimaru and Sasuke, and the Akatsuki, as Tsunade would give them the mission back to Team 7 to try to bring back Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto nods, and I think much of this would go the same, except for the point that I'm about to go over. As they sat on the bridge waiting, when Orochimaru and Sasuke appeared, Naruto smiled, and Sasuke, upon seeing Naruto, raised his hand into the sky to finish him off. But Naruto appeared in front of him. Try again, as Naruto then kicked Sasuke so hard that he sent flying, and as Orochimaru tries to slice Naruto with a sword, it's broken off by a thick aura that surrounded Naruto's body, as Naruto then pulled his fist back, slamming it into the face of Orochimaru using his physical enhancement to launch the Sannin. As Sasuke managed to recover, wondering where Orochimaru was, he then saw Naruto in front of him. The blade of Naruto was now inches from his face, but he was able to block with his own. Sasuke then sent a fireball to the ground that he would use to escape and find Orochimaru leaving the area. Naruto didn't really care as much as he knew that he was stronger than Sasuke. And while this was going on, Team Azuma and a few other ninjas were sent to a town that was being attacked by Akatsuki members. And much of this fight goes the same, as Azuma would die and Naruto would be sent with them the next time, as he could easily kill Kakuzu while Shikamaru gets his revenge on Hidan. Tsunade then sends Jiraiya off on the mission to scout the Hidden Rain village and gain more information on the Akatsuki's leader, who they now know as Pain. This of course would lead to his brutal death, and Jiraiya, well, the effect of his death wouldn't really affect Naruto, as they haven't really met at all in this timeline. And Jiraiya leaves the information that the son of Minato should train and learn Sage Mode. Naruto thought about it and said that he'll give his answer to the Hokage after he goes and talks to someone first. The blonde would of course go to see Danzo, who would definitely want him to go and get stronger. So Naruto heads off to Mount Myoboku to start his training, and far away, Sasuke and Team Heavy are on the hunt for Itachi. The Pain arc starts the same, as the village is blown away and many are killed until we have Naruto arrive on the scene with the Toads. The first path to come attack Naruto is the Animal Path that summons a bunch of giant dogs and other creatures, but having the giant toads there did help, as they did block a lot of these attacks, and Naruto found the path, rushing at it. The Animal Path, well, on the first attack they blocked, but Naruto ducked down, and then he swung his blade up trying to cut it in half. However, the Ashura Path makes an arm that turns into a sword that blocks the blade and kicks Naruto away. The blonde rolled on the ground for a second or so, and then rushed back, this time creating a tornado that sent the two paths into the air, lifting them into the sky, and Naruto added lightning and fire to the tornado to destroy the bodies. A loud crash could be heard from behind him as they fell to the ground, and Naruto stood firm, looking at the last four. The Diva Path would of course try to blow Naruto away. However, it had no effect, as Naruto used his own psychic abilities to block this attack. Instead, he blew the Diva Path away with a strong wind, and Naruto wondered which one he should destroy next, but from behind him, he had to dodge a revived Ashura Path's missiles, and he jumped into the air, landing on rubble. Looking around, how did it come back to life? Naruto then saw the Naraka Path opening up the King of Hell's mouth and leading the Animal Path out. Naruto knew that had to be the first one to go, but as he got ready to do so, his time limit on Sage Mode would run out. Great, now I'm back to my base. Naruto then surrounded himself in a thick aura that could protect him from any elemental attack. Using ice to distract and stop the other paths, he made a clear walkway to the Naraka Path and grabbed it by its head, crushing it with all his force. Great, now that solves the problem. Now it's just 5 of them. So, I'll take you all on at once and destroy you one by one. Naruto stood, looking forward at each remaining paths that stared back at him. The middle one, of course, was the Diva Path, who Naruto believes is the leader, Pain. Naruto first turns to the Animal Path that summoned more creatures to attack him. Naruto evaded these attacks and slammed his fist all the way through the Animal Path, but his side now had a large bite mark on it that was leaking blood. Naruto looked at it and put his palm to it, starting to heal himself or regenerate, you could say, as the Diva Path would be shocked, making all the other paths attack Naruto quick so that he couldn't finish healing. This way, he couldn't finish healing, but as the human path got close, it was frozen in ice and it was shattered. And an explosion happened right in front of Naruto's face, and as the dust settles, he was fine as he managed to block the attack just barely. However, a blade goes right through the center of his chest, causing the Ashura Path to smile. But when it looks up, it sees Naruto that was also smiling. Naruto grabbed the Ashura Path by its arms, holding it tight, creating flames that surrounded both of them, burning it to ash. These flames would go away, and a lightning arrow would be sent at the human path. As the lightning was going to strike through, the Preta Path jumped in front and absorbed it. So, you'll be the one I target next then. Naruto creates clones of himself that all scatter around and hide. One of them jumped into the air and sent a fireball down at the remaining paths. The Preta Path would then jump in front and starts to absorb the flames, but the real Naruto came from the side, gripping both of his swords, and with a dual swing, Naruto cut the Preta Path into 3 pieces before being pushed away by the Diva Path. Naruto landed against rubble, smiling, seeing only 2 paths left. The Diva Path and the Animal Path. Wait, not the animal. The Diva and the Human Path. Yeah, those are the 2 that's left. I don't know why I said, yeah. Continuing on. His next target was set on the Human Path. This was a problem because he actually didn't know what this path was capable of. Once this thought was finished, Naruto was being pulled in by the Diva Path towards the Human Path. As the Human Path stretched out its hands, Naruto turned it to ice and then shattered it. While still mid-air, Naruto blocked chakra rods that were sent at him by the Diva Path, and then he entered Sage mode again by using one of his clones, breaking the Diva Path with just one kick. Naruto picked up one of the chakra rods and figured out where the real pain was, as he would go that way. And then he entered the area and Konan tried to attack him, but he froze her within ice, as Naruto would then say, "Atone for your sins." They wouldn't have the same conversation as in canon, but it could be something very similar that causes Nagato to use Rinne Rebirth. However, Naruto took one of Nagato's eyes and went to go find Danzo. Once he did, his sensei, or his master, instructed him to use the eye to serve him. But he would ask Naruto why he only took one of the eyes, and Naruto says because he's a half Uzumaki, he might not be able to handle the rest of the power. And Danzo congratulates him on his intelligence, as Naruto would then implant the eye. So, for a short amount of time, because Tsunade is injured, or out of commission from healing a lot of people, Danzo would be the temporary 5th Hokage, and this is where we would have the Kage Summit. For the Kage Summit, Danzo would of course take Naruto with him out of everyone, and when they arrive, the meeting starts as normal, where most of the conversation would stay the same up until the point where Sasuke Uchiha would arrive as he looks down at Danzo with his Mangekyo Sharingan active. Danzo, however, looks at Naruto, who had one regular eye and one Rinnegan. Sasuke was confused on this dojutsu as he didn't know what it was, and it was never explained to him. Suddenly, he could feel himself being pulled by an unknown force, but the masked man warped in and stopped Sasuke from being pulled, saving him, as he would now declare the 4th Great Shinobi War. And he looks at Naruto. "So, you possess one of his eyes. No matter, the other is still somewhere else." Sasuke then tries to attack Danzo, but Naruto blocks the attack and kicks Sasuke away. The Uchiha would tell Naruto that Danzo is the reason that the Uchiha clan doesn't exist today. He's evil. However, Naruto began laughing. "Does that sound like it's my problem? Your clan was a threat to the ninja world as a whole and could have started another war. And rightfully so, they were taken out by one of your own. Why would that matter to me if I'm not an Uchiha? Sasuke, this is pointless. I could care less about what he's done. All that matters is that he saved me when no one else would. So for that, I owe him my life. And if you choose to keep attacking, I'll end yours as well." Sasuke scoffed, using the Amaterasu to try to catch Danzo off guard, but Naruto stepped in front and absorbed it, using the powers of the Preta Path. "You fool." Naruto then summons animals that rush at Sasuke one after another, and after he lost sight of the blonde, Naruto plunged both his blades into Sasuke's chest. The masked man saw this and rushed at Naruto, managing to save Sasuke and have Karin heal him. The Raikage continued to attack Sasuke over and over, but the Uchiha uses Susanoo, the ribcage of it, to block. As he laid on the ground in the ribcage, Naruto jumped above him and with a physical enhancement pushing it to its max, he punched through the ribcage and hit Sasuke through the floor of the building, knocking him towards the ground. As Naruto would look around, as this is when he would be attacked by the masked man. Naruto tries to escape and get past him to help Danzo, who was escaping, but he couldn't, as Naruto would be locked in a heated fight with someone who can become intangible, as he would try to freeze, burn, shock, but nothing seemed to work on the masked man. Outside of the building, well, for the Kage Summit building, is where Sasuke took his revenge for his clan, killing Danzo. And by this time, the masked man warped away from Naruto to help Sasuke and Team Heavy escape, as Naruto would run outside as fast as he could, where he would see Danzo's lifeless body laying on the ground, as Naruto held the man who in a sense was like a father figure to him. He held him close as he began to cry, as rage would fuel Naruto's mind and body, thinking of only one thought: kill Sasuke. Because of this intense rage, Naruto's eyes would turn red with a slit, and just for fun and aesthetic, let's say this also forced his Rinnegan to turn red, but it had the same abilities, so it won't have anything different. Naruto returns to the Leaf, where Tsunade would awake by this time, and then send him on a mission with the 8-Tails Jinchuriki to an unknown location. Tsunade would lie and say that this mission will bring him closer to finding Sasuke. So, once they all reach Turtle Island, Naruto is taken to a room, and in this room is where he would fight the Nine-Tails within his mind. Naruto opened the cage, staring at the beast who glared at him back, as Naruto had no fear in his body, and, in a sense, he was fueled only by anger. As soon as the gate was bursted open by the Nine-Tails who attacked Naruto, well, the blonde's eyes went white as they began to glow brighter and brighter until, well, they stopped glowing as he forced the beast to the ground using 90% of his psychic rage. And with his other free hand, he ripped out the power of the Nine-Tails within seconds, and once this was done, Naruto imprisoned the beast again, and he started to use the power he just stole, entering KCM for the first time. As he opened his eyes in the real world, he was congratulated, but Naruto walked over to Killer Bee and destroyed the sword that had Kisame in it. After this, he told the 8-Tails Jinchuriki that they are going to the battlefield. Many tried to stop the two, but there was no way to do so, especially with the strength and psychic abilities of Naruto, and by now the war had already started, so as the two reached land, they were confronted by the Raikage and Tsunade herself. Naruto stepped up to them in a new form, and with this pressure alone forced them to the ground where they would kneel. No one is stopping me from getting my revenge. This war means nothing until I kill Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto knocked both of them unconscious while continuing forward, and before they reached the battlefield, Naruto made several clones that were all scattered to different areas, as he did meet up with the clone of Itachi. Well, one of his clones meant the clone of Itachi, who used the crow to free himself. So, that means many of the revived shinobi would still be taken care of by Naruto's clones, but I want to go over what happens on the main battlefield and with the masked man. The masked man and his Jinchuriki ambushed Killer Bee and Naruto, who were trying to find Sasuke, which made Sasuke angry as he demands to know, made Naruto angry as he demands to know where Sasuke was. The masked man would say he has no idea, causing Naruto to read his mind and figure out that Sasuke is chasing after his revived brother. Naruto smiled and rushed at the masked man, seeing as it was his fault too. The other Jinchuriki tried to attack Naruto, but his speed was insane, so before the masked man could become intangible, Naruto ripped off his head and crushed it. The other Jinchuriki, who were basically revived, stopped moving as they had no one to control them, so they were just lifeless dolls waiting. But Naruto saw his opportunity as he himself took control, and now Killer Bee and him would split up as they would go their separate ways. Naruto then hunted down Sasuke and Itachi, following them all the way into a cave, and waited for the right moment. While the real Naruto waited, the clone of him that was on the main battlefield met eyes with Madara himself. So he possesses one of my eyes. Boy, didn't your parents raise you to not take what does not belong to you? I don't have parents. That explains much. Naruto scoffed and lifted up one of his hands in the air towards Madara, who was confused. Before the Uchiha knew it, ice spikes were in multiple parts of his body as they appeared out of nowhere. How was this possible? No, there should be no problem for him to stop. As he broke some of the ice that was implanted into his body, he realized that it was freezing him from the inside, making it harder and harder for him to move. Madara tried to use many fire-style jutsu to heat up his body and get rid of the ice, maybe even try to melt it. But each time he tried, the jutsu was absorbed by Naruto, who was now standing right in front of him. Slowly, his body began to freeze until he was an ice statue that was looking right at Naruto's clone, as it would then be shattered. And by this time, the Uchiha brothers had defeated Kabuto and forced him to release the Edo Tensei Jutsu. As Itachi was leaving the mortal plane once again, Naruto appeared next to Sasuke and with one swing, cut the Uchiha in half, leaving him there to die, as he would then pull the cave down, forcing it to crumble. This way he would also kill Kabuto. Now, the war would be over once the White Zetsu were finished off by the Shinobi Alliance. Once it was over, they returned to the Leaf, where Tsunade made Naruto the leader of the Anbu or Root, where he finally had closure. Naruto was at peace, as he could finally honor Danzo's legacy, and maybe even more, as one day he was walking around, he saw Hinata, who smiled and waved at him. However, there would always be something dark, something evil, that lurked in the shadows, watching over the Leaf Village and waiting on the right moment in history to fulfill its duties. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where I'm going to end the movie. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing if you did. Make sure to like the movie videos the most, as they do take me the longest to make. And remember, all links are down below, and comment down your favorite moment of the story, if you made it to the end of the video, that is. Anyways, this is Zero, and I'll catch you all on the next one.